Oh, hello. Constable Grimpus here. I was distracted by the prologue of the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. We have here a book that somebody had lost, the prologue to Canterbury Tales. They were on the lower high streets of London yesterday, I believe, and it's the classic library, and it's, again, the prologue of Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. The text collated with the 7 oldest Mass, I believe, in the life of the author, introductory notices, grammar, critical and explanatory notes, I might add, and the index to obsolete and difficult words. Where did I get that from? By E.F. Willoughby, M.D., as a matter of fact. My British is just a little bit off these days because I've bought the wrong ale recently. It is the educational publishing company in Boston, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. So if anybody has lost this book, Chaucer's Prologue to Canterbury Tales, I have it here. Once again, I'm Constable Grimpus of the lower high streets of London, and I might be back in a little while. Gas man. Gas man. Gas man. Gas man. I say gas man. 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 Oh, I'm the gas man, and I was come to read your meter. I'm sorry for making all the dogs bark in the neighborhood, but oh, there I am. Oh, my word, my word. I just wanted to check your meter. I wanted to come in and look at the fuse box and check your gas meter. There was a German Shepherd down the street that almost nipped my hind end. So anyway, please let me in, and I'll provide you the best service that the gas man can offer. Blimey. The gas man creates quite a bit of mess for me from time to time. Lots of soot and creosote, and I know he means well, but my goodness, boy, do I have a mess to clean up. I just came from Blackpool, England, and there was plenty of tartared bricks and disintegrations and things that I cannot mention. They're left over from the demolition of Grace Brothers department store, and it's a pity what we see from time to time, but the gas man means well, but sometimes he sets fires, and sometimes they're in the chimney, and I have to actually crawl in there from time to time and come out with creosote all over my face. But I guess today's one of the lucky ones, one of the cleaner days in Blackpool, England. As you can see, I have no soot on my face today. So I shall shove off now, and cheerio. Guten Tag once again. We have, as I mentioned last week, we have the Random House German-English German Dictionary. I guess we could just say the German-English Dictionary. And it's by Random House, as you can see. And I think what we will do, I talked to Colonel Klink and Sergeant Wilhelm Klink and Hans Schultz of Stalag 13. And in fact, they just came back from Dusseldorf. And he gave me a few suggestions about what to touch on from this book. There's a German dictionary from Random House. And they decided that perhaps maybe we could just open up to any page and read at random. So that perhaps is what we'll do. And I know German people don't really say perhaps that much, but in this particular case, I think we can make the exception. Is that something that is perhaps acceptable? I hope so. we will just kind of peruse this book here until we find the right place where we can say a few words from the fatherland. It's a fascinating book. It's one that I have not read through for very long, and I've only skimmed through it in the past, but Colonel Klenk and Sergeant Schultz were happy to give me their recommendations. If you will just bear with me for a moment, as we're just going along at random, and courtesy of the inspiration of the late Wayne Walter Wolf, who is a great inspiration of the German dialect. And oh yes, here we are, and perhaps we'll just kind of peruse some of the vowels and some of the forewords and the vorworts and even some of the inhalt and the exhalt. So perhaps the German pronunciation is in good order, and we will proceed without too much ado, as we simply must read some of the more extensive parts of the foreword. For instance, the abbreviations used in the dictionary. Verkeinimus der Zurem, the Borderrocken, and the Bergeneiden. Adjective, adverb. Perhaps that's enough for now. We will see you very shortly. Ah, yes. Hello once again, my friends, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the festivities. I hope you enjoyed some of our rather amateur theatrics and skits and sketch at the beginning. We're always improvising here, and I believe we're at Act 4 in this particular case. Not so much authentic oddball dialogue this time, but simple craziness and improvisation. We seem to have touched on most of Let the Title Be Written over the last 3 videos, and we do hope you enjoyed those. And we will bring those back from time to time for your listening and viewing pleasure. And I think what we'll do now is we'll go into some books, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but maybe we'll find out together. So welcome to the festivities, my friends, and happy Monday. Now then, we have a book of Longfellow's poems, a rather unique book, we might say, and let's open it up and see what we find here. Maybe there's some interesting things that we can discuss, and otherwise the alternative is I might bore you to death. But I think you've made that determination by now, one way or the other. Hopefully it's a humorous occasion. So what we're going to do now is go through some of these rustic blank pages at the beginning. And this was also my grandmother's book, Dorothy Ella Lodger. Yes, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The Complete Poetical and Prose Works. He also has the complete works, the complete prose works, the complete poetical works, and a second phase of the complete poetical works, as it were. Houghton Mifflin Company, New York and Boston. Now here is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow himself. Thought you would really like to see that this Monday. And we have the household editions here with 270 illustrations. We won't show them all this particular sitting. The Riverside Press is who lieth at fault. The ultimate copyright to this book appears to be 1902. The 1902 edition by Houghton Mifflin and Company. And of course the original works were 1863. Now then, the publisher's note. The present household edition, as a matter of fact, of Mr. Longfellow's poetical writings is printed from entirely new plates and contains all of his original verse that he wished to preserve, and all its translations except the Divina Commedia. You see, the poems are printed as nearly as possible in chronological order, I might add, and the lines are numbered. The lines are numbered, and many new notes have been added at the end of the volume. Great care has been taken in selecting the illustrations, which represent the work of about 70 leading American and English artists, including Abbey, Boughton, Church, Darley, Dielman, Harry Fenn, Burkitt Foster, Frost, W.H. Gibson, John Gilbert, Ernest W. Longfellow, as a matter of fact, Will H. Lowe, F.D. Millet, T. Moran, Reinhardt, Remington, W.L. Shepard, and even Tenniel, without the captain. And the frontispiece portrait of the poet is from a photograph recently discovered and never before reproduced. Boston, in the autumn of 1902. We have a biographical sketch here of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was actually born in Portland, Maine, February 27th of 1807. I could go on, but I think we'll go forward here and see what else we can recite for a moment. The contents consist of Voices of the Night, earlier poems, ballads and other poems, poems on slavery, the Spanish Student, the Belfry of Bruges and other poems, and I have bats in my belfry, by the way, in case you haven't already figured that out. Evangeline, a tale of A.O.D, the seaside and the fireside, as a matter of fact. The Song of Hiawatha, the courtship of Miles Standish, Birds of Passage, Tales of the Wayside Inn, as we fall by the wayside. I added that last one. We have Flower de Luc, or Flower de Luce, Birds of Passage, The Mask of Pandora, The Hanging of the Crane, Morituri Salutamus, a book of sonnets is included here, Birds of Passage, Keramos, Birds of Passage again, Ultima Thule, In the Harbor, Fragments, Christus, A Mystery, Part 1, The Divine Tragedy, Part 2, The Golden Legend, and Part 3, The New England Tragedies, Judas Maccabeus. Yes, there was a wee bit of a splotch there from something. Judas Maccabeus, Michelangelo, translations, and various indexes, titles, and so on. So you get the idea. I guess we could peruse some of this at a later time. I know you're just waiting in great anticipation for that when that period comes. but fascinating book from 1902. Oh, I'm mesmerized. You'll have to excuse me for a moment. This is what the side of it looks like, just in case you were wondering. And once again, it's Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, from the archives. And we're back from a short break. Hi. While we're at it, the 1994 Michigan Renaissance Festival mug. Not a real clear view, but nevertheless, you can see the silhouette of King Henry VIII, who graces the front of the mug. And this was missing in action for a while, but a fine friend from high school and years after that brought it back to the castle in his motorized vehicle, and fully intact, I might add. And there certainly was never any doubt of that. We have La Morte Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory at this particular point. Quite a book to behold, and very nice artwork and very nice graphics. And here's what the side looks like, as I know you've been feverishly anticipating. Let's open it up and see what we're going to do here. And I haven't really gone through this book. This was a Christmas gift last year from one of my co-workers at Senior Benefits Group in Brighton, Michigan. We have a Brighton, England location as well, called Itinerant Benefits Group, in case you were wondering. And I have to take a Learjet there tomorrow, as a matter of fact, with Sir Paul Seisland and Sir Chris Alberta. But anyway, on with the show. The illustrations here are by Arthur Rackham, just in case you were wondering. Now then, 2015, yes, absolutely, brand new, by Barnes & Noble, as a matter of fact. And the cover art is by Howard Pyle and Aubrey Beardsley. Cover design by Patrice Kaplan. End papers even. They're by Arthur Burlingame. Very important that you should know that. The note on the text reads as follows. The text for this edition of La Morte d'Arthur is based on that of the modernized edition of William Caxton's text of 1485. Published in 1909 by J.M. Dent, no less. The editors have standardized variant spellings of words and silently corrected the mid-sentence chapter breaks that occurs in books 7 and 8. Consistent with the 1909 text, this edition corrects Caxton's misnumbering of chapters in books 4 and 7. Paragraph breaks to the Caxton text follow those of the edition of La Morte d'Arthur prepared by A.W. Pollard in 1900, you see. We have silently corrected erroneous attribution of chapter totals to several books in Caxton's preface. And we have the preface of William Caxton to the edition of Roman numerals MCDL XXXV. I should know my Roman numerals by now. And so the book begins. Very nice indeed. La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. Ah yes, we are once again back with a different view, of course, and we're just going to touch on a few things here as we round out the half hour. Yes, it's only a half hour this time, and I hope you enjoyed it so far. The Barber of Seville will be presented at the Regency of Whitmore Lake. They don't know it yet, but we've made special arrangements to take the residents on a field trip to, what is the auditorium, Cyrus? Oh, okay, my producer, Cyrus Mulligan, is here tonight, and he has to watch his daughters, so they're over there on the other side taking care of business in the production den. And we're going to find out a little more information on that, and it's just an idea, but it just might work. Perhaps the Fisher Theater is what we're talking about, and after all, the residents need an outing of some kind, and we're going to do our best to accommodate them. It may be a little complex for some, but nevertheless, the Barber of Seville, a surprise gift. And if we can't have it this year, perhaps next year. And we don't want anybody to get thrashed severely across the bum with a yardstick and go into a fisticuffs over it. So we're going to do our very best to accommodate them. And Cyrus, do you have anything more on that right now? I see. No promises at this time. Okay. At any rate, my friends, we're just sort of improvising here, and let me take another swig out of my Nottingham ale here for a moment. Ah yes, There now. So once again, I do hope you enjoyed the festivities this evening, and we'll do this periodically, and I hope you've all enjoyed what you've seen so far. And by the way, for those of you who are not a member of my music group called The Music Den on Facebook, here on Facebook, I should say, if you're interested, check it out and join up. Maybe there's some things that you like about it. There's a lot of material there. There's a lot of music video and a lot of pictures and a lot of air checks from radio stations from way back in the 60s and 70s. And some of the legendary broadcast talent is featured, many of whom are no longer with us, but nevertheless, they're never forgotten. And you can find them on the air checks of the Music Den. And we share a lot of things with other groups, and in a few months I believe we're going to be opening things up to all of our members to start posting things. And we just want to make sure that we're educating folks first off by some of the deeper cuts in rock and roll and pop music and many other genres that are featured in the Music Den. We go all the way back to about 1955 for our material, right up to the present day. So you never know what you're going to see or what you're going to hear. So we encourage you to join the Music Den if you like music. Just join the Facebook group, and I'll go ahead and approve your request. And like I say, eventually all of our 55 members so far will be contributing their musical YouTube videos, and we're going to open that up in a few months. But we're always bursting with new ideas, and we're going to experiment with a lot of things, and certainly we're going to see how that goes when the time comes. In the meantime, though, it's Cole's Collection. We want to make sure that folks are educated on some of the deeper cuts. We have people of all ages in the group, and those who grew up in the 60s and 70s, and some of those who grew up in the 80s and 90s. So one never knows. And we have people that probably only know music from the last 10 years. So we span the entire gamut. I think our oldest member is 85 years old. And he is actually legendary broadcaster and manager of the Grandy Ballroom, Mr. Russ Gibb. And, you know, I'm not sure he looks at things in the music den very much, but if he does, I hope he's very pleased with what he sees. So, at any rate, come on board if you like music, and we'll be happy to have you. So thank you once again, my friends, and I wish you a good week. And until we meet again, cheers.
Owl loved to rest quietly whilst no one was watching. Sitting on a fence one day, he was surprised when suddenly a kangaroo ran close by. Now, this may not seem strange, but when Owl overheard kangaroo whisper to no one in particular, the hare has lost his spectacles. Well, he began to wonder. Presently the moon appeared from behind a cloud, and there, lying on the grass, was Hare. In the stream that flowed by the grass, a newt. And sitting astride a twig of a bush, a bee.